I want to go into the story that you had for ABC7 about the money here. And the last line is perhaps the most gut-wrenching when you say it may have cost less than $90 million to finish a deal to keep the A's in Oakland. What was the biggest hurdle between the A's and the city finding a solution?
Just bridging that financial gap, unfortunately. And it's interesting to use the word gap because that's the company that A's owner John Fisher owns. The money was the problem. And I think what a lot of people forget in this whole process is that, between the announcement of Howard Terminal and today, there was a global pandemic and inflation hit and interest rates shot up. And so all the original estimates for what it would cost to pull this off, skyrocketed. And so they had to find a way to get the rest of the way. And, to get it down to $88 million is what I heard is insane. I mean, most free agents cost far less than that in Major League Baseball these days.
Exactly. And so it was either the city, the team, Major League Baseball, what have you. It doesn't feel like making up $88 million of a difference is that big a deal. So does that suggest that the A's really didn't want to make up the difference and wanted to go to Vegas?
I mean, I think the A's all along have been exploring this parallel path. That's not a secret. That's not a surprise. We knew that. They've been talking about it for years. But I think what they wanted to do was figure out which deal was their absolute best option. And they had finally gotten to the point where they felt like they were starting to figure out what the deal was in Las Vegas. And then they leaked that news about buying the land and came back to the Oakland mayor in the midst of, they were in the middle of a week-long negotiating session trying to figure out how to finish this deal. They leaked that report, and the Oakland mayor said, okay, then, go enjoy Las Vegas. And now all of the A's leverage is completely undercut on Las Vegas, and you're already hearing reports coming out over there that they're not so gushy about the deal already in Vegas.
So here's just a conspiracy theory, and you can poke as many holes in it as possible. But A's ownership spends $100 million to try to develop the terminal area. They're not getting very far with their advances with the local government. They see that they could have a sweetheart deal in Las Vegas, and there's a bunch of bad press that happens recently with the Oakland Coliseum, the possum defecating in the press box, this, that, and the other thing. And they're in the middle of this negotiation, as you said, a summit with the city, and they don't really want to do it because maybe there's bad blood or whatever. And they just say, you know what, now is the time to rip off the Band-Aid and just say, we're going to Vegas, hoping that that leaves Oakland in the dust. Is that possible that that's what happened?
I mean, yes, but it wouldn't be a very strong, leveraging and negotiating position because the A's still have legislature they're trying to pass in Vegas. So, I mean, they've been lobbying like crazy out there, and we know they lobbied every single one of the Clark County commissioners just the same day that this news came out. So maybe they got such strong assurances that they're ready to say, okay, we know this deal is here. We know it still has to pass the legislature. We know there's a lot of other things going on, but we're so confident that let's leak this report. Let's leak it the night before we know the Warriors and Kings are playing, and everybody will be paying attention to that. And we know the team will be on the road, so nobody can ask us any questions about it. Let's just go. Let's just drop this. And, yeah, that's possible. But I don't know that that's the smartest way to do things, Damon, because, the A's announced the site here. Full-blown announcement. They are going to build at Laney College in the Peralta Community College site. And they didn't have the votes. And then the whole thing fell apart, and they had egg all over their face. And, even before this group, they bought land in Fremont and announced they're going to build in Fremont, and then they never did that either. So A's premature announcements have been one of the major reasons why they don't have a stadium here this long into the saga. It's not the city of Oakland.
Casey Pratt joins us, ABC7 in the Bay Area. So explain to us that aren't locked into the local politics where the city of Oakland has fallen short finding a solution here.
Yeah, so simply put, and this is such a weird situation out here because, it's easy to blame the politicians. It's easy to blame the billionaire owner. But in truth, there's a lot of things going on and a lot of different people you can blame. So here's the main crux of it. The A's leaked a term sheet, and they were trying to front the cost of all of the infrastructure needed to build this ballpark, and then they wanted to be reimbursed by the city of Oakland and the county. The city of Oakland called their bluff in this big July showdown last year, actually 2 years ago, and they said, we will pay the off-site, the area around the stadium costs. You pay the on-stadium costs, and then we'll also try and reimburse you for that. The A's did not like that deal, but they decided to go along with it. So the city of Oakland said, we're going to cover $352 million to pay for everything around the stadium, the roads, the pedestrian bridges, all the other stuff. And then, like I said, the prices skyrocketed, and the city could not come up with the total amount. And that's where we are today. They've come close to the total amount, but they have not found enough money. So I think in the A's mind, they're like, well, you guys said you're going to pay for it. We're not going to help you cover that last bit. And the city's trying to come up with the rest. But, you know, when you have a city with a deficit and all these other things, it's hard for taxpayers and people to come up with that money.
It strikes me that if the Rams had to build their own stadium and the Giants were privately funded in San Francisco and San Diego and the Niners with Levi Stadium, everybody has a tough time getting public money in California to build ballparks, but they still get it done. That if the city of Oakland is willing to go $350 million, that's actually not a bad deal at all for the A's, is it?
No, and you got to keep in mind, too, that's just for the off-site. They're going to pay back the A's for the on-site infrastructure, too. So this price the city is trying to cough up here is well over, it's going to be well over $600 million, and that's more than they're getting offered in Vegas. So what's interesting to me is they got this deal so close to the finish line that they were hoping to have it hammered out by Friday. They said they had it about 90% done. That's what the city said. That's not what the A's said. But where the heck is Manfred, Rob Manfred, the commissioner? Where the heck are the people trying to get this across the finish line? They're trying to say that the A's stadium saga's gone on too long. It's been going on for decades. Like, what's going on here? Well, they're this close. You know, they've cleared every hurdle they need to clear, and they're walking away for a deal they don't even have the final answer for. It's kind of crazy.
America sees an empty Oakland Coliseum and assumes that nobody cares about the A's. But explain why that is a misnomer.
Well, let's just say if you run a restaurant, right, and you take every good food option off the menu, and then your servers treat you like crap, and then the owners tell you this is the worst restaurant in the history of the world, would you go to that restaurant?
No matter how much you love the pasta, you probably would not be going back to that restaurant.
Like, you might like the pasta, but it's entirely possible a possum may have pooped in it, right? And there's probably feral cats running around. They're cool. You might try to pet them, but, you know, get your shots and everything. I mean, that's the thing. Is it the customer's fault or is it the owner's fault?
Joe Lacob is the owner of the Warriors. He has openly said he would buy the A's. Why doesn't Fisher just sell it to Lacob, make a huge profit like all these guys are, and they don't even have to deal with all of this?
I don't know. I think because Fisher's this far in and he feels like he's this close to a deal somewhere, maybe, that he knows if he gets that deal, then the franchise value is going to skyrocket. So he's got to see this through the very bitter end. That's why the team's not for sale. Now, if you look at John Fisher, you know, if you look at the Forbes billionaire list, he's like a 2 out of 10 on the self-made score. The guy was born a billionaire. He could say, look, I bought this franchise for $180 million. Now it's worth well over $1 billion, maybe even close to $2 billion in a sale. Look how smart I am. Look at this money I made. Like, I did this all myself. But instead, they're trudging down the path, and heck, maybe they'll get it in Vegas, but that's not a foregone conclusion either at this point.
Okay, so we'll wrap up with that. Casey Pratt from ABC 7 News of the Bay Area. The news yesterday, a lot of people around the sports world felt was this is the end of the A's in Oakland, and you are saying not necessarily.
Now, I don't want to give people hopium, obviously, but it was the end of the San Francisco Giants when they were moving to St. Pete. It was the end of the Sacramento Kings when the broadcasters were literally crying on the air on the last Sacramento Kings broadcast. And, well, now they're playing in Sacramento still and in the playoffs with a brand new, beautiful arena. We see this a lot where it's the end, it's over, we're going to have a press conference any minute now to announce everything. And then, whoa, hold on, we got a new deal. So, no, I don't think it's over. I think it's like it's entirely possible. It's about 95% over. But it's not completely over until that shovel hits that hot Vegas dirt. That's the way I put it.
Casey Pratt from ABC 7 of the News, Bay Area, joining us this morning to give us some context on the A stuff. Man, I appreciate you getting up so early for us. That was very kind of you. I know a lot of our listeners were dying for us to chat, so I appreciate you getting it done for us, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. I mean, there's so many fans that have sent me your commentary, and I think it really, really resonates. And I think more than ever, people in Oakland, baseball fans in Oakland, need a champion, and I do my best to fill that role. But I appreciate having help, man, and you're really crushing it. And my voice is completely gone for talking to so many people yesterday, so hopefully you could hear some of this conversation.
Yeah, we got all of it, including the possum pooping in the pasta, so you're good.
That's the kind of analysis I like to bring.
Thanks, man.